All right, I've got Talya here to interview and just kind of talk a little bit about her experience in the digital marketing world and having her own online business. I'm actually here at her retreat. We know each other because we've been working with in the same kind of online community and training platform, and she's been hosting retreats in Bali. So that's where we are right now, is in Bali at her retreat, and so excited to get to interview Talya today. So, Talya, do you want to start off with a little bit about your story, your background, to why you started your own online business?
Yeah, sure. Well, first, thank you for having me on here and interviewing. It's always a pleasure to come on other people's pages. I pretty much started my online journey, was it just over a year ago, and I was in a corporate position for 11 years, had a pretty successful career. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that I hated my job and things was bad. I was pretty successful. I was working my way up along the leaderboard, and I was getting well paid, and I was traveling at that time. So, I mean, for some of you, it might sound like, well, what's wrong with you, Talya? It's like the perfect job, right? Money, travel. I was living in America at the time, in Miami, Florida, and I am from South Africa. So, I mean, it was the dream. Up until I woke up one morning and I realized I was just so unhappy. Money, travel don't make you happy if something is missing inside, right? And I started questioning myself a lot, and there was like a year of reflection, of constant things coming up that's giving me like a sign. I don't know if you've had that before, like signs is just coming the whole time of, what the hell are you doing? You need to change. So I decided one morning that, after a whole year of not being able to sleep properly, getting constant headaches, being sick, feeling unhappy, not seeing my friends, not seeing my family, missing out on weddings, birthdays, and all these fun things, and having only a few days of vacations. And even when I was on vacation and traveling, I needed to work because I was in such a high position. I said to myself, you know what, Talya, what is your goals right now at this very point? And my goals at that point was to get a promotion. Obviously, we work for the next promotion, right? And I was getting frustrated because I was working really hard. And I'm a great believer that you have to be the hardest working person that you know. And I was that person, but that promotion never came. And I wasn't willing to wait for it. But even if I did, I asked myself that morning when I woke up, and it's crazy because I literally woke up and I felt like I was not getting a panic attack, but sort of like an awakening. And I said, put yourself in your own body in that next position where you would be in corporate. How would you feel? How would your life change? Will you have more money? Maybe, because the more money you earn, the more you spend. Would you have more time? No, because I have a bigger role, more staff, more work to do, so my time will be less. Will I still see my family? Probably I'll see them less now because I got to work more. And seeing that I am from South Africa, I need to travel from America to South Africa. So there was a lot of no's, of course. I don't know if I was asking myself the wrong questions, but I guess that deep down inside, I just wanted to hear from myself that wasn't where I was supposed to be anymore. And I felt that I learned the lessons that I needed to with the company and the people that came along my route. And it was time for me to move on. So I made a very big decision where my bosses and my family and friends thought I was crazy. And, I gave a two-month notice with no plan. I told everybody I had a plan, and I sort of had a slight plan which didn't work out, which I'll tell you about, but I left. And I packed up my bags out of America and went back to a third world country, to South Africa. And I was willing to just go and have a regular day-to-day job and earn a very minimal wage just to be happy and to be around the people and the friends that I missed out on so many years. Anyway, funny how the world works out, and then the plans that you think you have, it's just not the same with what the universe have to offer. So I started a consulting company, my own. I was going to do consulting in the profession that I had the website, had the Facebook pages, had the name registered in a foreign country. Guess what? Up until this day, made no money from it. Didn't know how to get customers. And then I went and I said, okay, cool. Well, I don't want to work for a boss. I don't want to sit in an office again. I don't have money to start my own business, open a restaurant, to sell on a spa, or whatever it is that I can do. So what's going to be my next option? Okay, a lot of people work online. I don't really believe that it's real because it looks too easy, and I've been conditioned that if things look too easy, then maybe it's not real. So yeah, scratch that. But then as I was going along the line, I found starting drop shipping. You heard of that before? Drop shipping. So for those of you that don't know what it is, you pretty much buy a website. You learn how to fill that website with a bunch of products that you buy from a third party in China. They deal all your shipping and your handling for you. You buy it for, say for instance, $5, sell it for 20. Your profit margin is what, $15? Now the issue there is that I did fill my shops. I had products all randomly based because I didn't really know much about it. I didn't have a mentor. I was alone. And then I needed to learn and teach myself how to use Facebook marketing and advertising, because otherwise how's people going to find my store? People don't randomly just go on Google or go on www.shoesstore.com or whatever your shop's name is. So I had to figure out, how am I going to get my shop's name out there? I didn't really know how that worked, so I had to pay somebody a lot of money to do the stuff for me. So I still didn't know how to do it. And then when I really looked at my profit margins, I was losing money because I was spending way too much money on advertisement and not getting enough money in return for the products I was selling. Which made me like rethink a little bit these things. And then there was another thing that happened, is that that some of the products and the things that I was shipping took way too long to get to the customers. So they got a bit upset because these days you can ship things in one day, you know, with certain online companies. So after that, I went and I looked up a bunch of different stuff. I looked at like MLMs, I looked at Bitcoin, I looked at stock markets, etc. Just nothing really spoke to my heart. So I found the online system that we are using. And I've been with it now for 1 year, which is pretty amazing. You know, I made my first dollar from it within 4 weeks. Everybody is different, so please, I'm not saying that you are gonna make it in such a short time. I was 100% committed because I've already left my job. I was living off savings and I didn't want to go back to the job that I had, so I had to make it work. So it took me, you know, a few weeks to make my first dollar. And when I made my first dollar, which wasn't enough to buy a plane ticket, I used my savings to buy a flight out to Bali. And here I am still over a year later. And I've pretty much, my sole income has been this online business. And I've afforded to get accommodation, buy food, travel around Southeast Asia. I've been back and forth to Canada to visit family and friends. I've got a dog. And then now I'm also running these, it's called Reset Retreats Bali. This one is in Bali, of course, and this is where a bunch of the online friends come together, and we mastermind, we work on our mindsets, we work really on developing our business to a next level, and just resetting and taking a little bit of a break to our regular, normal day-to-day life that we used to,
Yeah, it's crazy how just like, money and success and all these things can never be enough, and like a lot of people don't realize that until later on in life, when they just realize happiness always needs to come first. And the quicker you figure that out, the better, because as good a job as you can have and as much money you're gonna make, and as much freedom, and that financial freedom means nothing if you aren't really happy. So
it doesn't, and the sad reality is that a lot of people have accepted the feeling of unhappiness. People have accepted it. It's like having a sore knee. Some people just live with it, right? They've accepted, my knee is sore. They've learned how to walk with that knee that's not working properly, and it just becomes part of your life. So this is where negativity comes from, and this is why a lot of people get depressed and don't have many friends. And because they just accepted that this is just how my life is supposed to be. Yeah,
and I think a lot of people just accept that the careers or jobs that they have, aren't necessarily supposed to make them fulfilled. Like, society's condition us to kind of just believe that jobs are there to make us money, and we don't have, or we're not supposed to be fulfilled in them. I feel like a lot of people just get jobs for the money and don't really enjoy them, which is sad. because we all should be enjoying every second of our lives, not not be dreading 8 hours a day working a job we don't like.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is, and Mary, you probably feel the same because you just recently left your very successful career as well, and that is that I always thought it is super important to work at a company really hard for somebody to make that money, and that was what I was alive for. It was that money and that income and saving up for a house and maybe having a family, and then one day retire and then I will travel or whatever. Where the last year where I've been building my own thing, which is not always easy when you have to start over. I mean, 11 years, that's where I grew up in that company. That's all I knew. So now I had to start over, and I had to learn new skills, where I was the best, now I was the bottom of the best, and you need to learn how to do new things. And that's when I realized that money is just the vehicle. And I'm sure that a lot of you that's really into this sort of mentality and self-development stuff, you must have heard many people say it before, and the reason we mention it is because it's true. And money is just a vehicle. You need to find your purpose on what do you want to do with that money to make this a better world or to help people, rather than, I mean, obviously materialistic things is very irrelevant. To have a nice car, you can have a nice car and a nice house, and sitting in there alone or working and being in your office all the time, what does that mean? It means nothing, right? And if you have bigger goals in this world on how, I believe the purpose of living is giving. And giving doesn't necessarily have to be money, food, gifts. It can just be your time.
Love.
It can be your time, it can be love, it can be a smile. You don't even have to know anybody, but just walking past a stranger and being the person that smile to them rather than the person that don't smile back, because this happens a lot in our society, right? So I think there's a bunch of people that's very lucky to have figured out what that bigger life course is, and just uses the money that they make to make that dream possible. And then some of you guys out there is still figuring it out, and I'm excited for you to be figuring out what that is, because that's a really good feeling.
Even just watching this video is a first step in direction, just learning more about what other people are doing, and definitely. What would you say in your own words how it is that we actually make an income online? A lot of people see people out there making, living their dream lives, traveling the world, doing all these things, and wonder how they make money.
So, definitely I don't make money in my sleep. I wish it was easy like that. A lot of online entrepreneurs say that, I make money in my sleep. Great. It doesn't work that way. I think the only way you can make money in your sleep is if you did buy a lotto ticket and you went to take a nap while the lotto was running. So we pretty much do online digital marketing, where we place advertisement on social media by using either Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any type of social media platform that there is. And when people click on our advertisements and they would purchase a product, then we make a commission. Companies actually pays a very nice commission out for you to advertise their products. We are I would say almost subcontracted for being advertisers, which this allows us to work for ourselves on our own time from our laptops. But this also means that if you are going to sleep all day, if you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to have any advertisement up and running, you will not make any money. Right? You have to run ads. You have to find the right ads that people out there want to see, things that's catchy. And the thing is that that's really hard to figure out on your own.
And it's people say, oh, well, I can make money while I sleep, but sometimes you can't. You obviously can get to the point where you can automate a lot of things, but you have to do the work first. You have to. You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna make money while I sleep, press a button, okay, it's ready. Doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work. There's a lot of work that need to be put in, so that when you do go to sleep, you know that the work that you've put in before, it does work for you. And then you get sales, and then there's still work that's got to be done after that. Which is, it's just, pretty awesome. I know one time I was on, I put a lot of work in last year, and I came out to Bali, And I was working, and I had to go back to Canada to see my family. They live in Vancouver. And I had to go out there for 3 weeks to go visit a friend and to go get my mum to bring her back to Bali to visit me. So I was working, and I made sure that when I'm on that flight, that my business will still be running, even though I can't attend to it because I don't have Wi-Fi. And I landed in Seattle, which was my layover, and I just had 5 sales. But that 5 sales wouldn't have happened. And I'm glad that you mentioned, and we changed the wording a little bit this way. It makes more sense. That sales wouldn't have happened if I shut down all my advertisement and waited until I get into Canada. I was setting everything up, scheduling. So by the time that I touched base, had Wi-Fi, I was like, oh, yes, thank goodness. This works. Even when you travel,
And what would you say, like, the importance of, like, trying to, you hear, try affiliate marketing, do all these things to make money online, and, people, like, oh, that sounds so great, and they go to try to do it. What is, like, the importance of, like, learning from other people, having mentorship, like, being a part of a community and training platform like we are a part of?
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually. I would say that the most successful people in this industry is the ones that, number one, show up. They show up to meetings that's scheduled. They show up to training calls. I mean, when I'm talking about meetings, it's not a physical meeting where you go sit around a table in an office somewhere. It's online meetings that we do video calls. Show up to meetings, show up to training calls. The most successful people, and I would say that's a lot where a lot of my success came from, that I was that annoying person that asked thousands of questions to my coach at that time. So ask as many questions, because your success is your coach's success, right? If you don't ask anything and just wait, then nothing's going to happen, because people do also get busy. So it's just really hard to say, hey, do you need help? Do you need help? Do you need help? Do you need help? Ask questions. The other thing is that commit yourself. Commit yourself and give yourself time. So when I'm talking about giving yourself time, it means that you have to schedule yourself an amount of hours a day out to go and work on this business. You cannot leave it for 1 or 2 days and not do anything. The law of the universe is you put the work in and you'll get something back. And if you don't believe in the law of the universe, I mean, that's just how things work. Put the work in and then you will get paid. So set yourself aside. If you are working a full-time day job, maybe some of you have families, maybe some of you have kids, maybe you are working 2 or 3 jobs right now. There is 24 hours a day. And if you can just put aside 1 to 2 hours a day to just commit yourself and to get zoned in and to learn, then you will be way further than somebody that don't put any hours in. The other thing is watch and connect with the people in this industry and in our community that's already got the success that you want. Because the most successful out there, they followed and saw who was doing well. They did what they did, and then they got the same results. So that's a smart move. Don't try and change the wheel. Just follow, get good at something, create what they created, and follow what advice people give you. And once you think that you are now really stable, you started making money, then cool. Then start playing with some new ideas. But when you first start, just follow your coach's advice, do what your coach is doing, see who's the successful people. Like our system even have a leadership board where you can actually see who's the people that's doing really well from in the last 90 days, in the last 30 days. And then what you want to do is go on that leaderboard. That's what I did. And I used to go and see who's number 1, 2, 3. And I used to message them and say, hey, can you jump on a phone call with me? I would love to learn from you. Because people in this community love others who reach out, because we just thrive from each other's success, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. Last question. What would you say if you had one piece of advice for anyone who's thinking of starting their own online business? What would that be?
Oh man, just get started. Just get started. I think that regret is sort of like the worst feeling in the world. And I know when I reflect, and I don't believe in regret, but when I do reflect back, say to the last 10 years, and maybe yourself, Mary, and maybe some of you, and you see successful businesses that's out there right now, and you think to yourself, wow, I had an opportunity to do something like that 10 years ago. What if I started 10 years ago? Where could I have been? So my advice to you would be that don't say what if, like start right now, because you can be so much closer to your freedom, financial, whether it is financial, family, travel, you can be so much closer if you start today.
Yep, little baby steps.
Rather than tomorrow, right? There's no bad choices. You know, we do have a risk-free guarantee that you can get your money back if you do start with us. That's how I got started. I was like, I got nothing to lose. So check it out. You know, get in contact with your coach, which in this case I would hope that it is Mary. She's a great and amazing mentor. You know, I've been spending the last 3 days with her, and I've never even met her before. We met online, pretty much how you seeing us now. We see each other on videos all the time, on phone calls all the time, and then we met in person, and it's like we feel like we've known each other since we were little, which is just crazy because the online world connects you with like-minded people, which is great. People that talk about visions and ideas and not about other people. You know, gossiping and negativity just makes you old, weakens your heart, and it's just dark. We don't like that stuff. So you know, so reach out to Mary. She's a great mentor, great leader. She knows a lot. She's gained a lot of success in her time being a digital marketer. You know, and she's constantly learning. She is doing this full time now, meaning that she does have time to help you reach your success as well. And hopefully you can join Mary and myself at one of these retreats in Bali one day.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Talya, and for everyone watching. Hope you guys were inspired and motivated to really go chase your dreams. And yeah, reach out to me if you have questions. Thanks again, Talya.
Yeah, thank you. See ya.
Bye, guys.